My sad bananas are pointing to the fact that sometimes I believe that if I am not perfect and present myself perfectly, if you can find a flaw in me, then that means I'm 1,000% flawed. Like I'm not worth your time if I'm not 100% perfect. Welcome to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast, where we equip and encourage moms just like you to move from isolation, fear, comparison, and chaos to community, compassion, peace, and freedom. We're so glad you're here. Hey guys, my name's Lisa.
And I'm Jen, and this is the I Am Mother of the Year podcast.
Where'd my boobs go?
Where'd my boobs go? They're gone!
I don't know.
They've gone missing.
I am looking.
I think we should put out an alert.
And not finding.
Missing boobs will offer reward if found.
We would please many the male viewer if we added the pictures. Or would we?
They look like this.
They're gone.
But I couldn't tell you now because...
No, there's nothing.
No.
There's nothing going on down here. No. Which you may be able to relate to if you've had children.
Yeah. I wonder if we could find them if we look really hard.
Okay. I think we have something for this, actually.
Okay. We're prepared for such a time as this. Just magnifying glass, some binoculars. Maybe we'll have some luck now.
Nope.
No, I got nothing. What about you?
Nope. Yeah. Oh, no. That's my belly button.
Oh, man.
Dang it.
So
I know.
close.
So close. It's so far away.
This didn't work for me.
They're not here.
No.
And here's why. We've had children.
Yes.
But before we had children, back in those glorious days.
Remember those days?
My boobs were, I don't know if they remember. Are they as sad as they act? I don't know. Do they remember how they used to be able just to stand at attention?
Yeah. They were happy to be there.
Right. They didn't have to be lifted.
No.
To be wiped underneath for boob sweat.
Right.
Like
lifted and shoved
they
daily.
were just here. They just were here and they knew what to do.
Yeah.
They stood there.
Yes.
In beautiful rest.
Joyfully.
Yes.
Perky, healthy, happy.
Happy to be alive.
I had no complaints. No major complaints.
From you or your handlers? Or their handlers.
Okay.
Whoops. Sorry, Jen's mom.
Sorry.
For that very awkward turn in conversation. And Jacob. Well, he was a pre-baby handler.
Sure. Okay, we're going to move on
Anyway.
Okay, that was them before.
Let's talk more about the breast handlers.
Okay, but then they got better. You didn't think it was possible.
Oh my gosh.
But then they did.
Yeah. You get pregnant.
My gosh, and they grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, you want to hear a story about this?
Yeah.
So Josie, my first pregnancy, she they grew to just one cup size. The entire pregnancy was boom. Mm-hmm. Then obviously when the milk comes in, it's like boom. We'll get there. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. So that was a slow, steady, no big deal.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant with Calvin, it went from pathetic B, like a fake B where
the padded in push up,
and somehow your nipples still don't touch the front of the cup. Mm-hmm. It's a thing. And I don't know, maybe they're not supposed to. Maybe that's not how they're built.
No, I think they're supposed to.
Okay, don't tell me that. So went from the pathetic B to one day I was driving. One day, within 1 hour, they grew to a C.
What?
I am not joking.
Your milk came in or
No, I was pregnant. I've obviously never experienced anything like this before. I was driving an hour and a half away for a work event. And my boobs went so much so, I was about to go, get ready and give a presentation. I had to stop at the Target because my boobs felt panicked. They were like, let us out! Let us out here! They were just gonna pop right off.
Oh my gosh!
Because they were so...
You're like, why is my seatbelt tighter?
I know, what is happening? What is happening? So I went into Target and I was like,
I need a bra fast!
Somebody help me! Help the girls!
My boobs are huge!
Oh my gosh, my boobs are so big! I just need a new bra.
What size do you think I'm fitting?
Oh my gosh! Oh, these?
Oh my gosh!
Straight to a C.
That's crazy.
Crazy in an hour. I have never, I'm not going to say never felt more panicked, but I was.
Wow.
I was panicked, and my boobs themselves were panicked.
They were
they were suffocating.
Happy to panicked.
Yeah.
To then what?
Well, then just larger than life. just
Oh.
so large. You know, they
Yeah.
just keep growing
It's amazing.
in an effort to, you know, sustain life or whatever that was growing within me.
My
right?
line was always, don't get used to this.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
as soon as they come, the
Mhm.
sooner they
No.
leave.
And then at the very end, when your milk, like you're about to give birth,
Yeah.
and like they turn into these veiny road maps. Like that's what they look like. They're road maps.
A little bit.
Just because your body, like they're not sound the alarm. They're not just there for the looksies
Handling.
and the handling.
Yeah.
Right. They are meant to sustain and nourish life.
Yes.
And so then the veins go. And so then it's like, are they cute or are they not? Are they just now gigantic
I just love
road
the
maps?
swimsuit tops.
Oh.
The shirts.
Like
The sleeves.
go, go.
It was amazing.
Right.
I went up 2 cup sizes.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It makes the fall that much worse.
It just-
because you go
the
from
bigger
that
the rise, the harder the fall. Is that a thing?
Yes. Because they do fall.
Oh, they fall. Oh, they fall. Yeah, then they get the milk in, and then you're just like, donk, donk, donk. They're like hard as a rock.
Oh.
And then everything calms down.
Yeah.
So I nursed Josie for 10 months.
Yeah.
And so then you go through the normal stages of whatever, breastfeeding, and your boob's like, okay, we can just chill out, and now we're done. Now we're done with this. And then in the being done with it, it was like, huh. But they used to be hanging bags of fat.
Yeah.
Right? There was adipose tissue in there that like made them feel
And
like
skin that was holding it in place.
basically this.
Yes.
No.
It was out of tension.
Yes, and the skin now is like, nah, I don't have a job here. And then, yes, it is like, so I call mine now sad bananas.
Skis.
They're just like,
they're so sad.
they're sitting in my bra like, I guess we're done now.
Now
What do we do?
There's nothing left
And
of
I'm like,
us.
wake up,
People,
and they don't even feel like boobs because they're not
No.
hanging bags of fat. They're
No.
hanging like squishy balloons.
They're like little leftovers of what once was.
Right. What do you call your ski slopes?
Ski slopes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoop.
Yeah. I like deflated balloons.
Deflated
too,
balloons.
though, 'cause
Sad
that's
bananas are
good.
my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, that's just,
The point is they're so sad.
they're so sad.
And it makes it more sad for us because we saw what they once were.
exactly.
You were great.
yes.
And then you got better and you were amazing.
Woohoo!
And then it got a little weird through breastfeeding, which
Right.
you had so much success. Hit me up if you didn't, because breastfeeding both times was a nightmare for me. Okay.
But I did also not have success. I
Oh,
had
yes.
tons of success with Josie.
Round
and then
two.
Calvin, I had to, like, from 3 days old, switch to formula. So then I think that might have made it even
Yes.
worse. Like, so then the hard as a rockness stays forever. And then you
Oh.
think labor is painful, and it is not compared to the sitting of the rocks within the breast tissue.
The chest
Terrible.
region.
And so I think that might have been part of the sad banana thing.
That's what kills me is that, okay, if you didn't nurse Cal for a long time, like
Right.
Josie,
No.
because I thought they sucked the life out of you. Like, you're
Right.
taking
That's
tissue
part
with
of
the
it.
milk. Wait, give that back.
Mommy needs that. Or at least daddy needs it. Or later.
So, but you didn't even nurse as long as just 3 days. But
3
they
days.
still got sad. Worse than with Josie, or about the same?
No, now they're sadder. And then, like, okay, I'm gonna get in shape and lose the baby weight and whatever. And then it's just like, they just keep shrinking.
Oh, it's
and at some point, I'm like,
worse.
just forget the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now when I lay down in bed, they just flop to the side. But it's not really a flopping, because that would like insinuate some kind of motion.
Movement, no.
It's more like they
Just
slide slowly and gently to the side.
Yes.
It's so
It's
sad.
pathetic.
Okay, here's the real question, because we can talk about
Oh, I could keep going. Yeah.
all the things
Mhm.
literally forever.
Yeah.
Until we're in a deep, dark depression.
Oh my gosh. Where's the hope?
Nope, they're still not there.
Dang it.
I
I
know.
was hoping the hour would be now.
Yeah.
They're going to
Nope.
grow.
Ta-ta-ta.
Remember what you used to do?
I need to run to Target. Well, I always need to run to Target, but not for a bra.
No.
Okay, why does it bother us? That's the question.
Yes.
And this is where we figured out in this conversation that we differ.
What?
I know.
Us opposite?
Who would have thought? Yes. So
It's
why does it
true.
bother you?
For me, when I unpacked it, I'm like, it's more about him.
Okay.
It's about when my husband goes to say hello to the girls. They're not there. And I'm like, sorry, you came knocking, but no one's going to answer.
Ain't nobody home.
Because if I were alone in life and I had no one knocking at my door.
The door of my bra.
The door of my sternum. Is anybody in there? Knock, knock, knock. It's flat as a board. This must be a door. If I had no one coming to knock, I'd be totally great. I'm like, I don't have back problems. I can wear a little cami. I could go no bra if I was in LA and super fashionable and chic. Because it could happen.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I can fool everyone else with the padded and the push-up. But at home, I'm like, yeah, it's like water off. This is actually efficient.
Yeah.
Showering, you've got less square footage to wash.
There you go.
I could be all on board if it was just me. But it's when the hand comes that I'm like, oh no, turn around, abort mission. You're not going to find anything that I'm like, oh, then I'm
if you want something to grab, look down here.
No. When it comes, it's like this, like, oh no, don't. Turn back, run away. You're gonna be disappointed. Oh.
And you don't like disappointing people.
I'm just a people pleaser.
Let alone your
husband.
food handler. Tell her the fridge analogy.
Okay.
I love the fridge.
I was like, is this too weird? But when we were talking, I'm like, I kind of feel like Jacob comes over, let's say, and he's like, man, I'm starving. And he's looking this way, talking to me like, do we have any food in the fridge? And he opens the fridge and he's feeling around. And if he's feeling and he's like, do you have food or no? I can't find anything. I'm trying to grab and I'm not, is this a dead fish? What is this? And it's like, if you had, because I feel like, okay, this is where I got that. Let's shake hands. Ready? This is a handshake.
It's a handshake.
This is the dead fish handshake. This is how he would have to say hello to my boobs to cut. Like, there's nothing to get in there. So it's the dead fish handshake. I'm like, no, you have to take your big hand.
Does he often shake your boob in a formal greeting?
No, but if you're going to grab, like you used to be able to get in there and grab.
Come on now, baby.
Dude, use your pinkies.
So bad. So for you,
so true.
You're disappointing the handler.
I'm like, imagine a life where you could open the fridge and be like, is this a turkey dinner? Do you have a watermelon in here? If he's looking away, I'm like, wow, you're plentiful supply. There's so much to grab. But instead, it's a little fish. I have nothing to feed you, but don't look elsewhere. But I'm supposed to provide for you, but I can't.
Okay, we're going to come back to the don't look elsewhere in a minute. And I'm going to tell you why it bothers me. Because it is a little bit like, yeah, I want to be sexy for him.
Yeah.
I have found mostly I want to be sexy for me.
Yes,
like,
girl.
I just, like, I work out. I try to sometimes, when I feel like maybe sometimes eating well, I eat well.
Yeah.
Like, I take pride in the health and presentation of myself.
Look at these lashes.
And my body.
I mean,
I'm obsessed.
Come on.
There we go. Look at these bad boys. I grow them myself with the help of a serum. We'll put those in the show notes. Okay, so I just like, it's for me. I look down and go, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's the problem. Like, I can look down at my thighs and complain, but I know what action steps I need to take. Yes. If I really want to change it, I can get that done.
Yeah. What do you do without thousands of dollars?
Right. Exactly. And I'm like, then, you start putting the math with it. And I'm like, I'm so cheap. I'm like,
And there's no guarantee. I might lose 30% or they might deflate in a car accident.
Not in the car accident, overnight.
Overnight?
Like they can. So there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
They're just bags. Yeah. And so then I'm like, that's why it bothers me.
I like that.
Yes. And I think it's fine either way.
Yeah.
It might bother you for any other amounts of reasons. Yeah. And I've got lots of friends who like had big boobs to start with, but now their big boobs grew into bigger boobs and have deflated boobs. And so then they're like super sad. They're not sad bananas, but sad, like socks, like tube socks, you know?
I've seen
And so like
that.
I look down and go, dang,
What can I do about this?
I can't do anything about
Nothing.
this.
Now I feel helpless and unattractive
Ugh.
in this way.
Exactly.
So I feel like the root of both of ours, and maybe others for you, is a core lie. Like there's something below the surface that's a lie.
There's everything that's below the surface
Is
can be found in a lie. Well,
Mhm.
that's not true. Let me rephrase that.
okay.
Everything that bothers you to an extent that we have to complain and joke and haha, but then when we get to our bedrooms, we really go,
No, really, where are they? Who took
dang
them?
it. Yeah.
You, child.
You.
You did this to
I
me.
can't believe it. That is an indicator. It's pointing directly to,
Yeah.
I'm just picturing,
Pointing
Sad
directly
bananas.
down.
pointing to the floor of the lie. My sad bananas are pointing to the fact that sometimes I believe that if I am not perfect and present myself perfectly, if you can find a flaw in me, then that means I'm 1,000% flawed. Like I'm not worth your time if I'm not 100% perfect.
Oh,
That's a
don't
lie.
like
Ew.
that.
I hate that.
No.
But that's the feeling. Like that's how I
Yeah.
really feel about it.
Yeah. I think for me, it was the disappointment that I feel like I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Like I should be able to provide this for you and I can't. So I'm
Mhm.
failing you for something I can't really happen. I gave birth to your kid.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But now this is like a consequence on the other side.
Yeah.
But I'm a disappointment to you. And you came looking and I got nothing.
Oh, I'm so sad right now.
No, and so are they.
Still sad. And then I think we both grew up in the church.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lie too that then heaps on shame and guilt and pressure on top of this.
My line of don't look elsewhere in
Don't
other
look
refrigerators for food because you'll find them.
That is, in my experience, and several other women that I know who grew up in the church, they have been taught either verbally or it has been assumed that if you don't please your man, if you don't give him sex when he asks for it or demands it or whatever, then he will look elsewhere. And that's on you.
It's your fault.
That's on you.
He will probably leave you.
Yeah.
And it will probably be an affair. But
Right.
he doesn't have to take the
or
ownership.
pornography or whatever. Like, but it's if you're saying no for whatever reason, then it's on you.
Yeah.
You're the one driving him away. And so if you put that on top of, well, I'm not perfect. And then on top of that, we expose the girls. And then I'm not perfect. And then I don't feel sexy. And so I don't really want to. And I'm tired and I'm a mother and all and all the reasons why we can and should and do say no sometimes.
Yeah.
Then it's like, fine, then just
I'll look
sign
elsewhere.
on the line. I get to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that is a huge, huge lie.
Yes. And for me, what I hear as you're talking is comparison. Because I'm like, well, she's providing. She
do you want to provide for my husband?
Blessed.
Or worse,
is he looking?
do you want her to provide for you instead of me?
Yes.
Because I don't blame you.
Right.
But please don't.
Yes.
So should we go have sex real quick so you don't think about our boobs?
Right. Oh, but I have to keep my bra on and please don't come looking.
Right. What in the world? What are we
Right.
supposed to do?
I think if comparison was not in the picture, I'd be a lot better off personally.
Oh,
If
in every
everyone
area of
was
life.
in the same level, you'd be like, oh, you have small boobs, you have small boobs, we all do. But it's the comparison that
all
I'm
the
like,
things.
oh, now I feel inferior. Like now I feel like I have to change to rise and get on your level.
Right. Exactly. And all of that swirls together and impacts the way we feel about ourselves.
Which then, what's crazy? Because this is kind of like a beauty topic. We're talking about outward appearance. When we're not at rest, when our souls are not at rest because we're not finding peace, that kind of steals our beauty because it's confidence, the way we hold ourselves, the way we present ourselves. Because for me, like, if I'm at rest and I'm at peace, I feel like I'm being my best self. And I feel like that's just attractive.
Even you saying that, your countenance changes. Yeah.
Totally.
It's so, so true. And so you might not have to doll yourself up and put a push-up bra on and all of that stuff ever, or for motherhood. But man, like, figure out what it is that makes your soul feel at rest.
where can you find peace in this situation?
Yeah. And that might be a really hard question. And it's probably attached to a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And probably some trauma too.
Mhm.
I know every woman that I've ever known has some kind of trauma. And so, I mean, another podcast for another time or a whole other series at that point. But it is figuring out, if this bothers you, why? And if it's not your boobs, maybe it is something else. You know, if there's something that's bothering you about your post-baby body, figure out what it is and figure out why it bothers you, how it's impacting you, what could you do about it, and then what are you going to believe about yourself regardless, and how are you going to find peace with that?
And here's something we really want you to believe. In case no one else tells you today, you're a really good mom.
Thanks for listening to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast with Lisa and Jen. If you love what you hear and want insider access to more conversations just like these, exclusive Mother of the Year merch, and access to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast one day early, join the growing community of patrons who support our movement at patreon.com/I Am Mother of the Year. Talk to you next week.